This is Robert and Matti from Escape the Fate, and you're on Spotlight Report, reporting from Knotfest 2024, Australia.
I'm not ready yet to let you go. All you're gonna get is no.
Thanks a lot for your time, and it's very excited to be here at Knotfest with you guys.
Same, man.
I need to ask you, immediately some people ask him about Out of the Shadows. It feels to be like the most mature, honest album so far.
Oh, what a nice compliment.
It's very meaningful. So, how did you guys put the album together? Did you guys do something different this time? How much was the lyric and the songwriting process about this? Who wants to?
Here, you want to?
It was a shit show. It was pretty chaotic. There was like 2 whole different phases of making the album. So Thrasher, who's since he's gone on to do other things with production, he's our old guitar player. We started the album out with him and with John Feldman and stuff, and who's produced several of our records. And then after he, the pandemic was happening, and it was like trying to get back at it and everything. And so we started to sort of separate. So the album was almost recorded in 2 whole different phases. But we actually really ended up having a lot of fun once we got in. Eric, who's our bass player, we got in his studio at his house, and we just started connecting. And I think we just had this trust in each other. So there wasn't a lot of animosity when it was like, I don't like that. It doesn't sound good to me. You didn't take things personally, where usually that would be a fight. And so it allowed us to just be more open creatively and just try things. And maybe that thing you had didn't work here, it might work later over here. And we were just on the same page a lot. We had the same vision. We wanted this idea of, out of the shadows, basically this sort of darkness about all the negative things of our lives, and just sort of put that behind us and come out of that and move towards a more light kind of thing. And we liked the vision, we liked the concept, we liked the message. And ultimately, we realized we wanted to be more of a fucking rock band and keep it simple and have guitar harmonies and solos and heavy drums and still the catchy choruses that we always do. We still have that sort of pop punk element to what we do. And it just ended up being really, really fun. And then the other side with the John Feldman stuff, we took that and made it more metal, and it was really fun. Yeah, and just so I
The meaningful of naming the album Out of the Shadows, like we were in the pandemic, we were in lockdowns, so the name is a result of all this anger, this being trapped in a house in lockdown, unable to tour stuff. Where the name came from?
All right, so it might sound bad, but from my perspective, the pandemic was good for us in our lives. Obviously, the pandemic was bad as a whole, right? People were sick, people were dying. So that aside, from us as a career standpoint in the day-to-day life, it allowed us to tackle a lot of things personally that we neglect because we got to go on another tour and we got to go travel. And for me, that meant spending more time with my kids and making sure I was, being a part of their lives and becoming a more mature father and being involved with them, not being selfish, and falling in love with being a father. I know for Craig that meant getting sober, and he's very open about it. He likes to share that because he likes to inspire people with that. So at this point, it's now 4 years that he's been sober. So he had to leave that behind, that sort of demon. And so that pandemic taking us off of the road, forced us to recalibrate and make us more just focused on being mature and just doing the right things in life, honestly. And so that translated to a lot of the lyrics of the song and the general theme of the album as a whole. So, the pandemic, and though it was so negative in a lot of ways, there's a positive that came from it for us.
Sorry, as a lead guitarist, what is your gear to go? What is your favorite guitar use? Like, what is your equipment?
I'm really into Ibanez guitars. I'm really into like Steve Vai and Paul Gilbert and stuff. I love Strats too. I'm really into 80s guitar players. Ibanez is my favorite. Yeah, and Strats and stuff.
All right. Just to start wrapping up, like, obviously we're here in Knotfest, Australia. Yesterday you played Melbourne. Did you get to catch up or see one of the bands you wanted to see? Who you like the most to see there backstage and stuff like that?
Dude, yeah, I got to see Lamb of God, which is awesome. I never got to see them before. I grew up listening to them. And then our sound guy got us in the sound booth for Pantera, so I was just right there. I got to see Pantera sounding fucking awesome. It was so cool. Bucket list shit for sure.
Yeah. We always ask our guests these two questions. Like the first one is like, what's the weirdest item you have ever signed for a fan?
I don't think we're allowed to say it.
You can say anything. You can say anything.
He's probably seen more. I mean, like shoes. I don't know. What's something really weird?
I don't know. There's
Like sex toys and shit. Yeah,
that sort of thing, which, these days I'm just like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Get it away. But yeah, other people's been kind of weird sometimes, like those sorts of things. I don't know, wheelchairs, casts, all kinds of stuff, and to me, the weird stuff, it's just weird. But I like when people have very specific items that they like you to sign that means something to them. So let's say it's like, here's a ticket for the first show when I saw you guys like 15 years ago, or here's a vinyl that's not your band, but this is what I bought the day I heard you, and it makes sense to them, and I get that as a fan, and it's like part of their collection. So I like signing stuff like that. That's very personal to the person,